head there. Um, so without any further ado, I will give it to the Library of Congress. I mean, to the DC Center for Accessibility, Patrick and Bernard, and take it away, boys.
And
Okay.
before you guys take it away, I just wanted to check with Mr. Farley. We're recording this meeting. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
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 Great.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us today. My name is Bernard. I'm a library technician for the DC Public Library. I've been employed by the system for 31 years in different capacities, but I'm currently in the library for Center for Accessibility, where we provide reading material for people that aren't able to normally read print material. So I'm gonna give you a little background on the program. The Library of the National Library Services for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress administrates a free program for individuals who are visually impaired or have a disability that prevents them from using regular print materials. Under a special exemption of the U.S. copy law, and with the cooperation of authors and publishers who grant permission to use non-covered copyrighted work without royalties, NLS selects and produces full-length books and magazines in audio and braille formats. Reading material as well as special playback equipment to read the encrypted talking books are distributed to eligible borrowers through a network of cooperating regional and sub-regional libraries. I'm not going too fast for you guys, am I?
Fine.
Okay. Um, Eligible borrowers are, okay, I already read that part. Reading material and players are circulated by postage, free mail, and distributed via the Braille and audio reading download, which is BART for short. NLS collection is made available without cost to adults and children who physical disabilities or visual impairment makes it difficult or impossible for them to hold a book, turn the page, or read regular print. The talking the book collection consists of recreational and general fiction and nonfiction with special emphasis on bestsellers. The materials at any given reading level are not geared towards children and adults with short attention spans or to show who needs high interest, low volume books. Um, Textbooks and curriculum oriented material is generally not available in the NLS collection. But that's covered by volunteer programs. For instance, we have a volunteer group here. It's Washington Volunteer Readers for the Blind. So,
Mm.
say for instance, if you have a manual, you acquire new TV or some type of electronic equipment. If you were to bring that equipment in, WVRB will record it for you free of charge and provide you with that information so you can read it without having to worry about the text being too small or not being able to see it clearly. Um, and what I mentioned earlier about the program, the one thing that I did leave out that wasn't in the material that I have here is that the program was started for returning veterans that were injured and were no longer able to read print material. Um, it's always been paid for through tax dollars. So that's how we're able to, you know, um, facilitate the program without having to charge anyone. Um, Everything is long-term loan. You can sign up for the program, and if it doesn't work out well for you, you can always return the material to us free of charge. Um, Mainly, what we dispense would be the talking book player. Um, this is kind of our go-to as far as reading apparatus for the patrons, but there are uh, commercially available readers also. But this player here is free of charge. You will receive books through the mail. It's a turnaround service. This is what you will receive in the mail, and this is what the book actually looks like. I have the right book. We don't charge late fees. To stay current in the program, we only ask that you make a minimum uh, usage of the program, at least one book per year to stay in the program. But we have many patrons that are avid readers. So on this one cartridge that I have here, we used to only be able to send books, uh, single books, one at a time. Whereas with the updated technology, this is flash-based memory, so as many books will fit on here. Sometimes I see patrons that might have 10 books on one cartridge, and it's so you don't have to have books stacked up everywhere in your living quarters. You can have several books that you can listen to at one time, and when you're done, just place it in the mail and it'll make its way back to us. And since it is a turnaround service, it's two ways of you being able to acquire books. One of them is through a publication called Talking Book Topics. It comes out every quarter, and what it does is it has a brief synopsis of each book. It has
Wow.
an identifying number for each book, so you can call or email us and make requests. Um, and usually, when you make a request, if you're under your limit, then you usually get books the next day. I think it's a great service. Um, with the player, we also have accessories. We have remote controls, headphones, and we also have pillow speakers. Um, it isn't limited to the audio books. Like I mentioned before, we also have Braille, and I mentioned Bart. That's downloadable books, where it kind of takes the process of the books coming in the mail out the equation. With Bart, you can download books to your computer or your mobile device and listen to the books right away. It's not very difficult. And I think it's a great program. A lot of people take advantage of it. We have magazines. We have a full list of magazines we have available. We also offer overseas services. So I don't know if any of you travel overseas often, but if you're there for some times, you can set up your account to where your books are sent overseas to you. If you need more equipment for one reason or another, your player stopped working, if you could get in contact with us, we will send equipment out internationally. Another benefit of the program is that we also have a music collection where we offer sheet music for people that may be musically inclined to, be able to read the sheet music and play their instrument of choice. We also have a Braille, we have a reference music section also. So if you have refreshable Braille, you can get that information sent to your device and be able to read it there also. Um, I always feel like I'm leaving something out, but we wanted to reiterate that it's a great program for people that whose vision isn't what it used to be for one reason or another. I don't think that because of diminished vision that you shouldn't be able to read, for research, entertainment, whatever aspects of, your life that may need information. Because if we don't have it in a dispensable format, like I said earlier, if you could furnish us with the print copy of whatever it is that you would like recorded, then we can provide that to you free of charge. Um, Patrick, am I leaving anything out? Is there anything about the Talking Book program that I may have forgot to mention?
Sorry, I was on mute. I don't think so. I think you got everything, BJ.
Does anybody have any questions about the Talking Book program or the Library of Congress NLS program?
I'd like to.
Oh, go ahead, Robin.
I'd like to interject another, before I forget it, an option for us. There's National Federation of the Blind offers something called a Newsline,
Yes.
and anybody can get it. It's free of charge. It has local, international newspapers, magazines, and journals, and it reads to you. And all you do is call it up, this number, and there's the number.
I had an application here.
Awesome. You could actually just do it on the phone if you wish as well. Because I just tried it again, and I can give you the number there if you hold on 1 second. The number to call for National Federation of the Blind is 1-866-504-7300. And with that number, you'll be able to sign up. It's a little robotic, the voice, but it's wonderful. You can read the London Times if you'd like, or everything in the New York Times sports section if you wish. So that's a really nice practical tip for every morning to read the Washington Post. All right, Patrick.
Oh, I had a question for Mr.
Mhm.
Hansen before we move on, if that's okay. You had mentioned the Washington Readers for the Blind.
Yes.
So you said that there are volunteers available. For example, if you had like a manual or something that you needed help reading, how would that work? How does that process work? Do you, especially with COVID right now, is there a way to do it without going into the library?
I wish. Unfortunately, because of COVID at this moment, the volunteers aren't able to come into the building.
Okay.
In the past, they were able to record from home and submit whatever material they had recorded. But because of advancements in technology, we no longer use cassettes, and we have to edit everything before we can put it out, and they don't have access to the editing material that is located here. But pre-COVID, if you could mail or walk in with the material, it would be assigned to a volunteer, and either they would come into the office. Actually, the booth is behind me. The open door, that's the recording booth. So they would go in there and record the material or edit it and then send it out along with the original material back to the patron.
Mm-hmm. It's a great model, though. I hope that it can come back after COVID with more force, because it sounds like a really practical service.
The sad part about it is that I don't want to say it's underutilized, but I think the best language to use is that a lot of people don't know about it. Once they become aware, if they have a need, then it's here for them. We've had students studying for medical exams, EMTs that wanted to update information as far as their training have come in, and this the average person that may have some material that they can't read themselves have come in with material and had it recorded for them.
So would this be practical for somebody who's written memoirs or a short story to send it in, and it would be put into a talking book?
Yes. Now the thing with that is to have a conversation with the coordinator, and so she can give you a realistic expectation of when it will become available to be given back to you. Because with something like that, she would probably break it up amongst several readers,
Sure.
so one person wouldn't do it, but it's possible,
And who is that person?
Her name is Jean Yablon. If you hold on a moment, I can pull up her contact information if you would like it.
Sure.
Okay. Bear with me one moment while I look it up.
It sounds like a really interesting idea. I mean,
Absolutely. I had no idea that you offered that. That's wonderful.
Yes.
And I could see it happening like on an individual level, something similar like that. If you had a family member or friend and you just said, hey, I want you to, could you record these instructions for me and send it to me? You wouldn't even necessarily need a booth while this program is, kind of on hold with COVID. It's an interesting idea that I hadn't thought of before.
Yeah, mostly people find out about it from participation in the talking book program. That's how we usually get people involved with the volunteer program. And I've come to find out, in this city, there are people that volunteer to record, not just only for, our organization, but other organizations within this area. So you might have people that will, go from organization to record material for individuals. Okay, I'm gonna get Jane's contact information. I can run on with the best of them. So let me be quiet and pull this up.
Thank you.
No problem.
Now, also, anybody online here, in time, with feedback, we can talk about problems to solve, individual things that you think we should talk about. Please don't hold back. Email me your suggestions so we can tackle that. There's always a professional, there's always a professional to help. We can put them on this website so they can talk to us about it. If there's something that bothers you or you're concerned about, email me, okay? And we'll handle that, okay? We'll get some professional on.
Thanks, Robin.
Mhm. If you want to put it at the end of the thing, Patrick can talk.
Is it okay for me to put it in the chat? I can put it in the chat.
That would
Well,
be fabulous. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat then.
Okay, great. Megan, you can transcribe that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Patrick, Timony.
Okay, should I go?
Sure. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, yes. My name is Patrick Timoney, and I'm the librarian for Adaptive Technology in the Center for Accessibility at the DC Public Library. And I've been there about 15 years. And my job is to support the assistive technologies, to teach them, and then to organize special events like this one, where we do outreach, tell people in the community about the great things at the library. But it all revolves for me around assistive technology. And that can be very broadly defined to include things like this, like accessible books, as well as lots of stuff on the computer to help people read and gain access to information. So that's a little bit about me. And let me just get into what Robin asked me to talk about today, which is accessible books. And she asked for, let me see if I can see. To talk about the Bard service, Audible, Kindle, Playaways, and possibly apps, and what kind of phones are accessible. So I'll talk a little bit about all of those things. I'll start with Bard, which is what BJ mentioned, that because it's a service of the National Library Service. And Bard is how you can download books over a computer or down to your smartphone. And you never have to return them. So you can just basically have as big of a library of audio books as you through this service called Bard. It stands for Braille and Audio Recorded Download.
I thought it was Shakespeare.
Yeah, that too, I guess. Bard, Braille and audio. So that means you can download Braille as well and read Braille electronically with a refreshable Braille display. But you can also download the audiobooks just over the computer and then put them and play them in that digital talking book machine that BJ showed you, or you can download them right to your smartphone, to your iOS, Apple or Android smartphone. So that's what Bard is. Robin also talked about audible.com. Audible is a source of audiobooks. It's the biggest audio producer, I think, in the world that produces audiobooks. And Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service owned by Amazon.com. You can purchase and stream audiobooks and other forms of spoken word content. You can either purchase the books individually, or you can do a subscription model where you pay a certain amount every month. I think it's like $15. And then you get 2 free books. And then if you want any more than 2 books, then you have to pay for the extra ones. Yeah, Audible is the United States' largest audiobook producer and retailer. And it's always, they tend to have the newer books faster than Library of Congress. And they also, they have a much wider selection than the Library of Congress. So it's good to have both of them. That's Audible. And then Kindle. Kindle is another Amazon service, and they make their own player. So you can, there's a couple of different players. There's some that you may have seen that are just black and white and are very thin, like a piece of paper almost, or not that thin, but I mean pretty thin compared to other computers. And they're just for reading books. And then they also have something called the Kindle Fire, which is more like an iPad or like an Android tablet that you may have seen. And the Kindle books also can be read on an iPad or on an iPhone or on an Android device by putting the app. You put the Kindle app on there, and I think they've got about 6 million books. So it's great, but they're not audio books. You understand? They're just digital text books, but they can be read by a screen reader. That means a synthesized voice can read them out to you in audio, or you can just read them. And you can. The thing is, inside the app, you can make the text very big, so you can increase the font size of the text to make it easier to read. And you can do that same thing on the readers, the special reader that you buy. You can either do it on an iPhone or on an Android device, or you can do it on the special format that they have, the reader that they give you. That is Audible and Kindle. And maybe we should talk about playaways. Playaways are very convenient. Playaway is just a little box, it's like a little, about the size of a book of matches, or maybe a little bit bigger than that.
A cigarette pack.
Yeah, a cigarette pack, right.
Oh,
And it's only got 3 buttons on it, I think. It's got a play button, a fast forward button, and a rewind button. And then it's got 1 book on there. So, and this is something, they're actually pretty expensive if you buy them. They're like about $40 because you got to pay for the book and the device. But that's why they're so popular in libraries. They're so simple. You pick them up. There's no way to not know how to. You just turn it on and then hit the play button, and it'll read you the book. And then you can skip around the chapters by using the fast forward and rewind. So that's the Playaway. I'm not sure how many. I know that back in about 2010 or 12, we bought a whole bunch of them, and so they're all over the libraries. I'm not sure if we continue to buy them or not, because I haven't seen them around in a while. But that's a
They
very
seem to have fallen out of favor a bit.
yeah. That was a convenient format. It's Playaway, very simple.
You go to a library that's primarily senior citizens,
Yeah.
like the one in Baltimore that I go to. It's a wall of playaways, and it's
really?
wonderful. Any book you want, and you put one AAA battery in it, and that's all you need to do, and
Right.
have your own headphones. Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
they're wonderful.
Playaway is a great format. Very simple.
Mhm.
Easy to use. We talked about Bard, Playaways, Audible, the Amazon Kindle. Let me talk about, I guess I'll briefly mention here some of the formats that you might hear about, that you don't always have to know what these are, but I'm just going to read a list of the different kinds of formats of audiobooks. There's DAISY, EPUB, audio recording, Braille, large print, PDF, and HTML. So I'll just tell you quickly what those are. DAISY and EPUB are the kinds of books that you would read on a computer. So they can, you can be digital text, or they can be audible, recorded voice. And audio recording is just straight recording, but you can't skip around the chapters. So DAISY and EPUB let you skip around the chapters, but it could be either text or audio. And then Braille, which is available from the Library of Congress, and that's a tactile reading-based system. There's also large print. The library's got lots of large print books, and they're sort of interfiled with all of the other books. So you can just come upon them. But our large print is printed in 14-point font or sometimes 16-point font. And they're not actually a lot bigger than a regular book because they make the pages, the paper very thin. And so it's the same size as a regular book. That's large print. And then you have PDF and HTML, which are both computer formats that you might run into that allow a book to be read on a computer. So let me talk about some of the book collections out there. The National Library Service, of course, is our, and I think we have about 100,000 books. I think that's, and they're all audio. There's another service called Learning Ally that gives you access to textbooks. So if you're going to school, going back to school, you might want to sign up with Learning Ally. They have a human voice recorded textbooks. There's another service out there called Bookshare, and Bookshare has about 1 million books, I think. And sometimes they're synthesized voice books, and sometimes they're audio books. But Bookshare, based out in California, a company called Benetech, and Bookshare has the most books of any of these services. I'm not sure how many Learning Ally has, but it's not 1 million. So Bookshare has 1 million. Kindle books, what we were just talking about, they have about 6 million books. So Kindle is really a large number of books. And so Kindle can be made accessible if it's on a Kindle player, or if it's on an iPhone or a Android device, by having the synthesized voice read it to you. But they don't have, Kindles don't have a human voice recorded. Then there are iBooks, which come over, that's from Apple. Apple's book service is called iBooks, and those books can be read with a synthesized voice. And there's also Google Play Books, which is the Google Android version of iBooks, the same thing. And then we talked about Audible, audible.com, which is of course all human voice recorded audiobooks. We talked about the ebook readers, Amazon Kindle, Fire, and Barnes & Noble also has one called the Nook. Those are both ebook readers. You can get newspapers and magazines. Robin was talking about NFB Newsline, or maybe BJ mentioned that too, NFB Newsline. The NFB is the National Federation of the Blind, and the Newsline service can be read over the telephone or on your computer as well. And those are, Newsline gives you access to newspapers, magazines from all over the world. There's another service here in DC that's called the Metropolitan Washington Ear, which also gives you access to newspapers and magazines, but they're really only either local or like the New York Times. So maybe they have New York Times, Washington Post, and a few other newspapers that they read, and it's all recorded by human voice, Metropolitan Washington Ear. And they also have a radio that you can, I don't know if you buy it or if they give it to you for free. And it's very simple. It's just all local news and information, and then they read books over that too. I mean, newspapers and magazines.
Yeah.
You can also get magazines from the National Library Service. We will send out magazines to you. We have a large selection of magazines, but not newspapers. And I guess the next thing to talk about, if I got all of the stuff, I'm trying to see if I got all the stuff.
How about Encore and Libby?
Oh, Libby is the Overdrive, right? Libby is the app that gives you access to all the Overdrive books. I am going to talk about Overdrive and all the other services that the library makes accessible to you on their website. So let me talk about those in a little bit. What was Encore, Robin?
That's the original library app. They moved over to Libby.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get to those in a second here.
Thank you.
So I wanted to talk about, I gotta watch the time here. I wanted to talk about assistive technology because that's what gives you access to a lot of these books. So assistive technology can include things like screen readers that will read out to you in a synthesized voice, audio, an audible synthesized voice, audio synthesized voice, digital text that's otherwise displayed on a computer screen. That's a screen reader. Another assistive technology is called a screen magnifier. That just makes the whole screen bigger or one part of the screen bigger. So, but it's on the computer. It's a computer magnifier, not a handheld magnifier. Another assistive technology is called either text to speech or speech to text. That's where the computer reads it out to you, or takes your voice and turns it back into digital text on a computer. There's also large magnifiers called CCTVs, which is a
Right.
electronic magnifier that you can put a book underneath this big TV. Basically, it has a camera on the bottom of it, and it will make the book really big on the screen in front of you, and you can determine with a knob how big you want it. Whether you want it just to be twice the size of the regular book, or whether you want it to be 10 times the size or 20 times the size. You can also change the color and make it so it's a perfect color for your eyes. So those are called CCTVs, closed
And
circuit.
if you're on disability in the district or on 100% vision lost, you can get them from the Department of Rehabilitation for no charge.
Right. You want to go to the RSA, it's called Rehabilitation Services Administration. And they will get you the assistive technology that you need.
Absolutely.
Right. We also talked about handhelds and personal devices. So those are like the iPhone and Android. And so some of the screen reading software are called JAWS and NVDA and Narrator. So those are just different brands of screen readers. The magnification softwares include Zoom Text, Fusion, and Windows has a built-in magnifier. So if you use a Windows computer, there's already a magnifier in there. All you have to do is go to the little text box down there in the left-hand corner of your computer and type in magnifier, and the magnifier will come right up. And it's not too hard to use. It's pretty simple because it's free and it's on every Windows machine. That's called Windows Magnifier. Some of the text-to-speech systems out there include Read and Write Gold, Kurzweil 3000, and then I also included Dragon Speech Recognition, which is when you talk and then the digital text shows up on the computer. The CCTVs include Optilect and Topaz. Those are just two brand names. They have handheld magnifiers that are about as big as your palm, I guess. And they're pretty expensive. They can be up to $700, but it's an electronic magnifier that you can use to read. And we talked about the two different kinds of smartphones are the iPhone, which runs an iOS operating system, and the Android devices, which run their own Android operating system. There are tablets that you can read books on, including the iPad, something like the Samsung Galaxy Tab, which is an Android device, and the Kindle Fire HD. So those are all tablets that are about the size of a book that you can read books on.
I buy magnifying glasses right from Amazon. They're 6, so very thick, but then I don't have to hold a magnifier. And that way, I just have a small field of vision, like I can only see in a phone. And so that blows it up for me.
Yeah, there are, let me see. There are catalogs out there that you can get lots of assistive technologies from, including those handheld magnifiers. And the three of the names of the catalogs are the LS&S catalog, the Maxi Aids catalog, and Independent Living Aids. And they'll send the catalogs to you in the mail, and have very large print, and they're pretty easy to see. And or you can just go to their websites. The LS&S, Maxi Aids, and Independent Living Aids are 3 catalogs that sell, everything from the screen readers that I was talking about before, which are very expensive, or the handheld magnifiers, which can be very cheap, and everything in between, like big desk lamps, things like that. See if I missed anything. Oh, we talked, oh, the different kinds of apps that you can read books on. And let me see if I got all these. Amazon Kindle, the Barnes & Noble Nook, Audible, NLS Bard, Bookshare, Learning Ally, Libby and Overdrive, Voice Dream, Blinkist, which is an app which just gives you synopsises of books. Blinkist just gives you the synopsis of the book. Goodreads is a social media or social app for book lovers where you can see all the good books that other people are reading. Goodreads. There's a book called Comixology, which just lets you read comics. And there's a book called Epic, which just gives you kids books. And Scribd, which is a subscription where you only pay $10 a month and you get to read all the books you want. That's called Scribd. Talk about Overdrive, right? So Overdrive is a book service that the library provides you access to, where you can borrow Audible books and ebooks. So books that have a human voice recorded or books that are just digital text. You can borrow those right from the library with the Overdrive app. And Libby is the name of the app that gives you access to Overdrive as the company. And Libby was developed as a really nice app front for that company that lets you borrow the books. And there are
All
lots
you do is add your library card number to it.
just put your library card number in there.
And you might have to wait for bestsellers a couple weeks, but they do come in.
Yeah. And so Overdrive is one of the most popular services that the library has, but we have lots of other services too that we give you access to, like RB digital magazines. So popular full color digital magazines for reading on your computer, tablet, or phone. And Access World News, where you get full text access to newspapers from all around the world. Each one of these services has their own accessibility. So for instance, with Access World News, you can make the print very large. Some of them can be read with a screen reader. Some of them cannot be read with a screen reader. So it's hit or miss with all these services, depending on the service itself. There's Historic Black Newspapers, Dig DC, which is a portal that brings all of these services together. Freegal, which is free streaming music. Libby, which is ebook and audiobook service. Canopy, which is videos. Lynda.com, which is education. So, teach you classes and everything from computer coding to yoga. And Mango Languages, if you want to learn a new language, the library will let you do that on Mango Languages app. And there are also more online newspapers like New York Times, Washington Post. So anyway, the library, you just go to the library's website and all those things are available. I talked about the catalogs. And I think that's about, I guess I'll finish it up by talking a little bit about cell phones really, really briefly. I don't know that much about most of the cell phones. The cell phone that comes with the highest recommendation for folks in the blind community is definitely the Apple iPhone, because it has a screen reader built in, and it has since it's been out for almost 12 years, I guess. And that screen reader is called VoiceOver. And the way you work it is that you use gestures. I'm gonna let you hear what that sounds like and show you.
Night sky.
This is an iPhone. I can just put my finger on it.
SoundCloud, WebEx Meet, crossword, loading.
I don't know if you can hear that.
Double tap to download. WebEx Meet, SoundCloud, Bose Connect, loading. WebEx
So
Meet,
as I move my
crossword,
finger around the
tagline,
screen,
SoundCloud.
it's voicing what's underneath my finger. And then to open that app up, whatever I find, I just double tap the screen. And then to get home, I just hit my home button. So those kind of double taps and moving your finger around the screen, those are called gestures. And you have to learn those gestures in order to operate the phone right. And that there's kind of a learning curve to it. It takes a little time to learn that. And it's very useful to have somebody there to help you to learn it.
Pre-pandemic, you could go in, make an appointment with your Apple store, and they would take an hour to teach you this.
Right.
I've gone to the store before, and they've helped me.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
That's what we do at the library too, pre-pandemic. We do a lot of those lessons in iPhones and in Android devices also. Android has a similar system on it as the iPhone, and it also works. It wasn't as good in the past, but Androids are getting very good now. So those are the two smartphone telephones that you can use now. They're also what you call flip phones, which are older, and some of them can be accessible. You're not guaranteed that it's accessible if you get a smartphone, but if you go to this store that sells it, like for instance, Verizon or T-Mobile, one of those providers, they call those, one of those stores, and you ask them for their accessible flip phone. Each one of the companies has a phone, at least one phone that they advertise as being accessible. I know that for Verizon, I know that a lot of my customers bring in LG phones. So I'm not sure if all LG phones are accessible, but I know that a commonly used accessible phone, I think it's for Verizon, is called the LG. There are also free phones that you can get, the government provided. And I know that Alcatel is the name of one, at least one of those free phones, but I know there's a number of different companies that make those free phones. That's a government service where you get free government cell phones and you get very cheap plans. You know, you can get you can pay $6 a month for your internet service over that phone, for your telephone service. Low-cost alternatives.
What is the name of that again?
The one that's $6 a month is called Gen Mobile, Gen Mobile. There's literally hundreds of these plans, though. I just picked that one because it was the lowest one I could find, $6 a month. There's also US Mobile for $12 a month. If you get a Jitterbug phone, which you may have heard of, the whole phone is made to be accessible. So Jitterbug phone comes with a service called Great Call, which is only $15 a month for 200 minutes. And you can buy a Jitterbug flip phone for $75, or you can buy a Jitterbug smartphone for probably 100, or maybe it's more than that, 150, I don't know. But those phones, Jitterbug phones, are made to be very simple, and all of the text is very large, so it's hard to get lost on a Jitterbug phone. So anyway, I think that wraps up pretty much what I was going to say for today. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to make something up.
No, it's been really informative.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, there's so many options to make our lives better.
Yeah. Yep.
Because most of us, are having right now diseases that are hitting us as we age, MAC or glaucoma, and it changes your whole way of looking at things. So we have to change with our bodies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so getting used to things, getting used to new ways of doing things is important. Another thing I forgot to mention about what we normally do pre-pandemic, and hopefully soon again, is we have classes at the library. So we have our Tuesday night class was the smartphone class. So if you want to learn how to use an Android or a iOS device, you come on Tuesday nights. Then on Wednesdays, all day we do JAWS. Just we actually in the morning from 10 o'clock to 11:30, all we do is teach the keyboard. And it's very important as a blind person to know exactly where everything is on the keyboard, so you don't miss it. Because when you do something on the computer, that when you miss something, it can be very dangerous. It might blow the computer up. So we do keyboarding for an hour and a half in the morning, and then we do intermediate JAWS after that, and then advanced JAWS in the afternoon. And on Thursdays, for the last couple of years, we do the Mac devices. So Apple Macintosh computers have their own accessibility. That's called, that screen reader on the Apple Mac devices is called VoiceOver also, just like on the iOS devices on the Apple iPhone. So we teach VoiceOver out at the Shepherd Park Neighborhood Library, which is right at the end of Georgia Avenue, right before Maryland. So that was Thursdays, we do the Macs. And then on Saturdays, we usually have a program of interest. Like we'll have a interesting speaker come and talk about something, like maybe someone from Rehabilitation Services would come there and talk about, advertise their service, or somebody from the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind would come and talk about what they do. So those are called Saturday technology training sessions. So those are our library programs.
Thank you.
Mm.
It's very helpful.
Sure.
You can also acquire a keyboard that has like 40-point type.
Right, large
And there are
print.
also stickers you can put right over, so you can see
Yeah, and it's
much
little bumps, they call them bump dots, that will stick to the keys. So you put one on the F key and one on the J key, so you can always find them. Or the keys that you have to reach out to, like the backspace key or the escape key. You can put a little bump on there so that you can reach out and feel it and then come back to your home row, the F and the J key. And those bump dots are also good for things like microwaves.
that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Tactile.
Right. And you can get those from those catalogs, the LS&M
Mhm.
catalog, Maxi Aids catalog,
Yep.
Internet Living Aids.
Well, there's so many resources out there. One of the things I was thinking, listening to it, is almost overwhelming, just choosing what is the right fit for your lifestyle and needs. Is there any central location that the library site has all of these resources where you could look at, the list as a whole?
We have, I hand out, I have a resource list that I hand out but that's mostly the names of the organizations. I haven't put all this information together in one list, but thanks for the recommendation. I think I will do that under accessible books and make a resource list out of it and then make it available to people.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I would love to see it if you do that.
I have it all written out, so it's just a matter of cleaning it up.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
informative. Well, thank you very much for joining us for our first low vision group. I think it's been really successful. Get in touch with me if you have any concerns or questions, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah,
Thank
bye
you.
now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much. Bye, Megan.
Sure,
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.